The night sky over Seoul's remnant military base blazed with holographic tactical displays, casting an eerie blue glow across Jay Park's weary face. Outside, massive electromagnetic shields flickered, protecting the last significant human settlement. After decades of interstellar conflict, the Vexnar weren't just another alien civilization. They were systematic destroyers, consuming entire planetary systems like a cosmic plague. Their biomechanical spacecraft resembled living organisms, with tentacle-like energy conduits and pulsating reactor cores that could obliterate entire planetary defenses in minutes. Jay remembered stories from his grandfather about Earth's early space explorations. Humanity had dreamed of peaceful galactic exploration, sending probes and hoping to make friendly contact. Instead, they discovered a universe far more brutal and unforgiving than anyone could have imagined. The communication terminal suddenly erupted with urgent data streams. Massive Vexnar motherships were detected just beyond Jupiter's orbit, their quantum signatures indicating complete invasion readiness. Each mothership carried approximately 500,000 battle-prepared biomechanical warriors, capable of adapting to any defensive strategy within seconds. "They're coming," whispered Hana Kim, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Her expertise in xenobiology made her one of humanity's most valuable strategic assets. She had spent years studying Vexnar communication patterns and biological structures. Jay watched as satellite feeds showed thousands of crystalline spacecraft emerging from hyperspace. Their design was simultaneously beautiful and terrifying, sharp geometric shapes that seemed to phase in and out of conventional dimensional understanding. Each vessel carried enough destructive potential to consume entire continents. The human resistance had been reduced to scattered colonies across solar system outposts. Mars, once a promising terraformation project, now served as a fortified defensive position. Europa's underground research facilities housed humanity's most advanced technological innovations. But against the Vexnar, these seemed like desperate last stands. What made the Vexnar truly horrifying wasn't just their technological superiority, but their complete lack of empathy. They didn't conquer for resources or territory. They consumed civilizations as part of some incomprehensible cosmic algorithm. Entire species were simply data points in their grand calculation. Jay's tactical team had been analyzing captured Vexnar communication fragments. Their language wasn't spoken, but transmitted through complex quantum entanglement, making traditional translation impossible. Each communication was a symphony of mathematical precision, devoid of emotion or individual identity. The base's younger soldiers moved with controlled urgency. Holographic combat suits adjusted to each individual's biometric data, creating personalized defense mechanisms. Plasma rifles charged silently, their energy cells humming with potential destruction. "Whoa." Joy, the lead scientist, approached with a data tablet. "We've detected something unusual in their approach vector," he said, his voice calm despite the impending doom. "They're not just attacking, they're studying us. Every movement seems calculated, like we're some complex experiment." Outside, automated defense drones began mobilizing. Massive railgun platforms emerged from underground silos, their barrels capable of launching tungsten projectiles at near-light speeds. Quantum-encrypted communication networks connected every defensive system, creating a responsive, living shield. Jay understood their situation wasn't just about survival. It was about proving humanity's right to exist in a universe that seemed designed to crush their species. The Vexnar represented more than a military threat. They were a philosophical challenge to human existence. The first wave of Vexnar scout ships entered Earth's orbital zone. They moved with impossible precision, their movements defying conventional physics. Holographic displays tracked their approach, showing impossible acceleration and maneuverability that seemed to laugh at human technological limitations. "Initiate defensive protocol Omega-9, Jay commanded, his voice steady. Around him, humanity's last hope prepared for what might be their final stand. The universe watched, waiting to see how a seemingly insignificant species would respond to total annihilation. This wasn't just a battle. This was humanity's defining moment. End of Part 1. The emergency conference room buzzed with nervous energy. Hannah Kim stood before a massive holographic projection, her fingers tracing complex quantum simulation models. Weeks of sleepless research had led to this moment, a strategy so radical it bordered on insanity. "Traditional defense is suicide," she explained, her voice cutting through the tension. "We can't match the Vexnar's technology, but we can use our greatest weapon, human unpredictability." The plan was breathtaking in its audacity. Transform entire planetary infrastructures into massive weaponized systems. Not just military installations, but complete ecosystems turned into potential planet-sized bombs. Each colony would become a hidden threat, waiting to be triggered. Choi's quantum engineering team had discovered a breakthrough in planetary core manipulation. By introducing specialized quantum destabilization matrices, they could essentially turn an entire planet into a controlled explosive device. The technology was so complex that even the most advanced Vexnar sensors wouldn't detect the full potential until it was too late. "We're talking about converting entire human settlements," one military advisor protested. "That means sacrificing millions of our own people." J. Park stepped forward, his eyes burning with determination. "We're already facing extinction. This isn't a sacrifice, it's our last stand, our only chance." The first prototype would be the Mars colony, a world already partially terraformed and technologically advanced. Underground networks would be converted into quantum trigger systems. Massive fusion reactors would be recalibrated as potential detonation cores. Every piece of infrastructure would become a weapon. Robotic construction units worked tirelessly, guided by human engineers. Nanomolecular restructuring began transforming ordinary materials into potential energy conduits. Agricultural zones became potential explosive zones. Water treatment facilities were redesigned as potential quantum amplification points. What made the strategy truly ingenious was its multi-layered approach. Each planetary conversion would look like normal infrastructure development to external sensors. The Vexnar would see nothing more than a standard colonial expansion, never realizing they were walking into a massive trap. "We're essentially turning our entire civilization into a booby trap," Hannah explained, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Detailed simulations showed potential blast radii that could potentially destroy entire alien fleet segments. The psychological warfare aspect was equally important. By presenting a strategy so unexpected, they would completely disrupt the Vexnar's computational predictions. These aliens relied on mathematical precision. Human irrationality would be their ultimate weakness. Training began immediately. Every colonist became part of the strategy. Children learned emergency protocols. Scientists became potential trigger operators. Farmers understood their land might become a weapon of last resort. Communication between colonies became encrypted through quantum entanglement networks. Each settlement developed its own unique conversion strategy, ensuring no single approach could be anticipated or countered. Spacecraft design changed dramatically. Smaller, more adaptable vessels replaced traditional military models. Each ship became a potential delivery mechanism, capable of precision strikes or self-destruction if necessary. "This isn't just a military strategy," Jay told the assembled teams. "This is humanity's final statement to the universe. We might be small, we might be outgunned, but we are not defeated." The first converted planetary system would send a message, louder than any weapon. Humanity would not go quietly into extinction. As simulation after simulation confirmed the potential effectiveness, a strange calm settled over the human resistance. They weren't just preparing for war, they were rewriting the rules of galactic conflict. The Vexnar thought they understood humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. This was more than a strategy. This was humanity's revenge. End of Part 2. The Mars colony transformed like a living organism. What once was a pristine scientific outpost became a silent weapon, its every component carefully redesigned to maximize destructive potential. Massive underground tunnels, originally meant for research and habitat expansion, now hummed with carefully calibrated quantum destabilization triggers. J. Park watched as robotic construction units moved with calculated precision. Each movement was a dance of potential destruction. Agricultural domes converted into energy concentration zones, water processing facilities redesigned as quantum amplification chambers. The entire planetary infrastructure was becoming a single coordinated weapon. Families understood the stakes. Children trained alongside adults, learning emergency protocols that bordered on theatrical performance art. Every colonist knew they might become part of humanity's ultimate defensive strategy. Older residents, who once dreamed of peaceful planetary exploration, now prepared to become potential sacrificial warriors. Wu Choi's scientific team worked around the clock. Their research had discovered a method to transform planetary core structures into massive energy reservoirs. Geological layers would become potential explosive mechanisms with quantum-entangled trigger systems that could detonate entire planetary masses in milliseconds. We're essentially turning a planet into the largest bomb in human history, Hannah Kim explained during a critical briefing. Her holographic presentations showed complex energy transfer models that seemed to defy conventional physics. Each simulation revealed layers of potential destruction that could potentially obliterate entire alien fleet segments. The psychological preparation was equally intense. Colonists underwent specialized training that combined emotional resilience with technical expertise. They weren't just potential victims, they were active participants in humanity's most audacious survival strategy. Spacecraft production shifted dramatically. Smaller, more adaptable vessels replaced traditional military models. Each ship became a potential delivery mechanism, capable of precision strikes or complete self-destruction if necessary. The manufacturing centers worked like living organisms, converting civilian infrastructure into military potential. Underground communication networks developed their own encrypted language. Quantum entanglement allowed colonies to share information through methods impossible for the Vexnar to intercept. Each settlement became a node in a living, breathing defensive system. Agricultural zones were transformed into potential energy concentration points. Hydroponic farms became quantum trigger locations. Even the most peaceful infrastructure now held potential for massive destruction. Greenhouses could become explosive chambers. Water processing facilities might trigger planetary detonation sequences. The psychological transformation was perhaps most remarkable. Colonists who once feared death now embraced a collective purpose. Children played games that simulated emergency protocols. Elders shared stories of human resilience, preparing the youngest generation for potential ultimate sacrifice. Robotic systems worked alongside human engineers, their movements synchronized with mathematical precision. Nanomolecular restructuring changed ordinary materials into potential energy conduits. Every piece of infrastructure became a potential weapon, every citizen a potential warrior. "We're not just preparing for war," Jay told a group of young colonists during a training session. "We're showing the universe what humanity truly means. We might be small, we might seem fragile, but we are unbreakable." The first converted planetary system would send a message louder than any traditional weapon. Each quantum trigger, each carefully designed infrastructure modification, represented human ingenuity pushed to its absolute limit. Specialized spacecraft began positioning themselves strategically. Small, almost invisible probes were launched into deep space, creating a complex network of potential defensive positions. These weren't traditional military units, they were living sensors, capable of instant transformation and destruction. As the final preparations completed, a strange calm settled over the human resistance. They weren't just waiting for invasion, they were rewriting the rules of galactic conflict. The Vexnar believed they understood humanity. They were about to learn how catastrophically wrong they were. This wasn't just preparation. This was humanity's ultimate statement of survival. This was hope, transformed into a weapon. End of Part 3. The first Vexnar ships emerged from hyperspace like crystalline nightmares, their geometric forms slicing through the darkness of space. Thousands of biomechanical vessels stretched across the solar system, their energy signatures creating a web of technological menace that dwarfed human defensive capabilities. Sung Lee watched from the central command station, his fingers hovering above the quantum trigger systems. The Mars colony sat silent, looking like nothing more than a standard human settlement. Automated defense systems remained dormant, giving no indication of the massive weapon they had become. "Incoming first wave," a young technician announced, her voice steady despite the apocalyptic scene unfolding on the holographic displays. Vexnar scout ships began probing human defensive perimeters, their movements defying conventional physics. They phased in and out of dimensional space, creating impossible trajectories that would have destroyed conventional spacecraft. The alien vessels looked like living crystals with pulsing energy cores that seemed to breathe with an alien intelligence. Each ship carried thousands of biomechanical warriors, creatures that were part organic, part machine. Perfect killing units designed for absolute destruction. J. Park's voice crackled through the communication network. "Hold position. Do not react. Not yet." The Vexnar approached Mars with calculated precision. Their scanning beams penetrated planetary atmospheres, analyzing every microscopic detail. Thousands of sensor probes began mapping the colony's infrastructure, looking for potential weaknesses. They found nothing unusual. Hana Kim watched the quantum readouts, her breath caught in her throat. The planetary core systems were primed, quantum triggers ready to transform the entire planet into a massive explosive device. One precise command would turn Mars from a human colony into the largest weapon in galactic history. The first wave of Vexnar ground forces began landing. Massive biomechanical walkers emerged from transport ships, their legs moving with impossible grace. Each walker carried enough firepower to obliterate entire human settlements in seconds. They moved with a precision that suggested more than just mechanical programming. They moved with a sense of inevitable victory. "Targeting systems locked," Wu Choi reported, his fingers dancing across advanced holographic interfaces. Every underground system, every geological layer, every piece of infrastructure was now a potential trigger point. The alien forces spread across the Martian landscape, completely unaware of the trap being prepared. Agricultural domes became potential explosive zones. Water processing facilities hummed with quantum energy. What looked like simple colonial infrastructure was actually a complex weapon waiting to be activated. Sung Lee's hand hovered over the final activation sequence. One touch would transform everything. The Vexnar commander's communication signals began flooding the human networks, complex mathematical patterns that suggested complete confidence in their impending victory. They were scanning, analyzing, preparing for total planetary conquest. They never saw the weapon coming. "Activate quantum sequence," Jay's voice cut through the tension. The planet didn't explode. It transformed. Every piece of infrastructure suddenly became a coordinated energy weapon. Underground tunnels became quantum amplification chambers. Geological layers converted into massive energy reservoirs. The entire planetary mass began to resonate with a frequency that defied conventional physics. The first Vexnar ships began to disintegrate before they could even comprehend what was happening. Mars wasn't just defending itself. It was becoming a living weapon. Thousands of alien vessels suddenly found themselves caught in an energy matrix that was consuming their very molecular structure. The planetary conversion happened in milliseconds, faster than any computational system could predict or prevent. The human resistance watched in stunned silence as an entire alien invasion force was systematically destroyed by a planet that had transformed into the most sophisticated weapon in galactic history. This wasn't just a battle. This was humanity's ultimate statement of survival. This was revenge, written in quantum energy. End of Part 4. The aftermath of the Mars incident rippled through galactic communication networks like a quantum shockwave. Civilizations thousands of light years away began receiving fragmented transmissions about humanity's unprecedented defensive strategy. Alien diplomatic channels buzzed with confusion and terror. The Vexnar's near-total invasion force had been completely annihilated by a single human colony, a feat that defied every known rule of interstellar conflict. Computational systems across multiple star systems struggled to process the impossible data. J. Park stood before the United Planetary Council, his presentation displaying the complete destruction of the Vexnar fleet. Holographic projections showed how a single planetary system had transformed into a weapon more sophisticated than entire alien technological arsenals. "We didn't just defend ourselves," he explained, his voice calm and measured. "We redefined the concept of planetary warfare. Scientific analysis revealed the true brilliance of their strategy. The Mars colony wasn't just a weapon. It was a living, adaptable defensive system that could reconfigure itself millisecond by millisecond. What the Vexnar believed was a simple human settlement was actually the most advanced defensive mechanism in galactic history. Alien civilizations began sending diplomatic probes. Some approached with curiosity, others with absolute terror. Humanity had gone from being considered a minor, insignificant species to becoming the most unpredictable threat in the known universe. Wu Choi's research teams began receiving communication requests from dozens of alien civilizations. They wanted to understand how a seemingly primitive species could develop such advanced defensive technologies. Each inquiry was met with calculated silence, a psychological strategy that only increased the mystery surrounding human capabilities. The quantum communication network started calling it the Mars Incident, a term that would become legendary across multiple star systems. Civilizations that had previously ignored or underestimated humanity now watched every human movement with nervous anticipation. Robotic exploration units from various alien civilizations began scanning human colonies, trying to understand the technological breakthrough. Each scan revealed nothing. The human defensive strategy remained as mysterious as it was terrifying. Hannah Kim developed a new communication protocol that further enhanced humanity's mysterious reputation. Instead of providing direct explanations, human diplomatic teams would respond with complex mathematical puzzles and philosophical statements that left alien civilizations more confused than informed. "We're not just a species," she told the diplomatic corps. "We're a concept that cannot be easily understood." Spacecraft design underwent radical transformations. Human engineers began producing vessels that could potentially transform mid-flight, challenging every known rule of interstellar engineering. Each ship became a potential weapon, each colony a potential defense system. The psychological impact was perhaps more significant than the military victory. Alien civilizations that had viewed humans as potential slaves or conquest targets now saw them as an existential threat. Trade routes began avoiding human-controlled space. Diplomatic channels became more cautious. Sung Lee's tactical analysis revealed an unexpected benefit. By creating such an unpredictable defensive strategy, humanity had essentially created a new form of diplomatic protection. No civilization would risk direct confrontation, knowing the potential consequences. Underground. Communication networks began sharing the story of the Mars defense. What started as a survival strategy became a symbol of human resilience. Children in human colonies began playing games that celebrated the unexpected victory. The quantum energy signatures from the Mars incident continued to fascinate scientific communities across multiple star systems. Some believed the technology was so advanced it bordered on magical thinking. Others saw it as proof of human innovative potential. Alien computational systems continued analyzing the data, finding no consistent pattern that could be predicted or replicated. Humanity had created a defensive strategy that was fundamentally unpredictable, a weapon more powerful than any traditional military technology. "We are not just survivors," J. Park told a group of young colonists. "We are the universe's most unexpected variable." The Vexnar incident transformed humanity from a potential victim to the most feared species in the known galaxy. No longer would they be considered a minor civilization to be conquered or ignored. They had become something far more dangerous, unpredictable. This wasn't just a victory. This was a revolution in cosmic understanding. End of Part 5.